Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of From Sad Pick Me Girl to Alchemist. Today, I have Moon here. He is a men's dating coach, a meeting facilitator, and educator, and I'm super excited. I wanted to bring him to this discussion just so we can talk a little bit about the experience men have in dating. A lot of the times when I discuss my experiences, I'm looking at it from a female's perspective. So I really want to have a holistic approach on the dating pool and what it's like for men and women and how we can collectively work together to really make it a place where it's not so daunting. I think is really what I'm trying to I really want to reframe it so that it's fun for people and it's not this thing where people are just demoralized and, "Oh my god, the dating pool sucks," which is some of the things I commonly hear, being a single woman. So, Moon, if you could touch a little bit on your work and what you do for men, that would be amazing.
Yeah, thanks for having me on here. I really appreciate it. I know this is kind of like our first time really getting to know each other. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Makes it more exciting.
yeah. So, dating coach. It's like the question I get like immediately when I tell people I'm a dating coach is like, how did that happen? Like, how did that come to be? And it really just started with these men's meetings I've been hosting every other Thursday. I've been doing it for about 3 years now. And I built a fire over at Crown Point, San Diego. And it's a space for men to kind of get together, connect, uh, make friends, find community, and just a space for them to express themselves authentically, right? So more so vulnerability. And what I found is there was finally a space for men to feel comfortable talking about their dating challenges. And I got enough of these inquiries during the meeting that I was like, you know what? I think I have something to offer here. So I started, yeah, coaching some of the guys that were coming to my meeting.
Amazing. And when you say men's challenges, what are some of the common ones that you hear? I'm sure there are a lot of them, and I'm just super curious because as women, I can speak all day of some of the challenges that we have, and I'd love to see what they are versus, compared to men.
Are you asking me specifically in the context of dating or just men in general?
Specifically in the context of dating.
Okay, challenges they're
Or
ha
even honestly in general too, because I think that all of it's intertwined, right? I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a few things going on. So, one of them is just like online dating is really just everyone has online dating fatigue, and
Yeah. Oh
there's
yeah.
there's challenges on both sides, right? So I always tell
Right.
online dating for men is like finding clean water in a desert, and online dating for women is like finding clean water in a swamp. Like we
Yeah.
both just have these challenges, right? We all hate it. We're all like feeling really ambivalent about it. And so that's part of it, right? And it's
Mhm.
I find that the more time men spend on dating apps is the more resentment they grow towards women,
Yeah.
right? And so I would say that's one piece of it is online dating is kind of taking away that human element and it's kind of tipping the scales a little bit unfavorably. Um, the second part of that is I think there's just women are doing really well right now, and that's okay. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. But women are graduating at higher rates than men are right now, much higher rates in college at least. Even earning potential is going up, and so there is I think, some like adjustments that men are trying to make, and there's I think a growing sense that the standards are getting higher and higher.
Okay. So it's funny because one of the things that I often hear or see, and I'm sure you probably have seen it on social media, is now that women are doing better financially, right? That they don't need men for survival. The only thing that really makes them gravitate towards men is their character. So
Yeah.
I don't want to poke at men's character, but it sounds like the men that are coming to you are more self-aware and they're trying to be better when it comes, right? We're not talking about the men that I guess that this frame of mind is targeting, right? I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
You're right about that. Like, I tell people, like, the men who probably should be coming to my meetings are not, like, coming to my meetings, right? The men who are showing up are the ones who are invested in their personal development, right? Who are trying
Right.
to kinda grow, be more vulnerable, be more authentic. So, yeah, I, work with some really, really cool guys that are really invested in, like, growing and developing their either their social skills or their emotional intelligence or be. Um,
Right.
so yeah, all the guys I work with usually are really, really cool. Like, I haven't had to turn any.
Yeah, and it seems to me too that there are more men that are becoming more self-aware. I've seen more men's groups forming. I don't know if it's because the people I surround myself with, but it seems to be something that's a lot more common than it was even maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's just when I started too. And so I have a little like blurb in my description of my meetings. I used to say most of these like men's meetings were either support groups for addiction or dependency, right? So when you hear men's meeting, you generally think like AA,
Right. Yeah.
right? And now you're starting to see, I mean, at least because we live in San Diego, maybe we're a little bit biased, but like a proliferation of like men's retreats, men's circles, uh, yeah, just inner work sort of, yeah, gatherings, I would say.
Yeah. And the men that you work with, are you encouraging them to remain on the dating apps, or is there a mixed approach, or is there no one size fits all? Because for me, I feel like you were saying, there's a fatigue with dating apps. I never hear anyone say anything positive about a dating app. Literally never. I don't think I've heard one person say, "Yeah, dating apps are it." Right? And you do hear success stories, but honestly, the success stories I hear are from, like, years ago. I think that the dating apps have even now become more flooded, right? I'm thinking about, like, 9 years ago, people met on Tinder, like, no, right? That's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and they got married. It's like an anomaly. You don't hear that too often.
Yeah, and I've been, me personally, like I've been through like waves of it, like where I really, really, really enjoyed it. And
Yeah.
me and my friends, we always talk about like droughts and floods. Like
Yeah.
this raining is pouring. Like, and, when it's dry, it is dry. Uh, so it's again, I have like this ambivalent relationship with them. I'm not on any of them now, but it really depends on like where my clients are at, right? And so I really focus on the face to face stuff. I think that's the way to date these days. And I there's enough offerings. The pendulum is finally swinging in the other direction, and there's tons of singles events right now, whatever that may be, that are encouraging more face to face interactions. And so it really depends on my clients, but I kind of do like a three-pronged approach. I say, hey, let's do online dating because that's more of like a set it and forget it thing. But, even if you get a woman's number in person, you're still going to have to text them, right? And so
Right.
you texting online is going to like translate to texting, over messages or whatever. Um, and so I encourage that, kind of set it and forget it. And I'll tell guys like, hey, you're gonna learn to hate it, like all of us, But I think there's a good learning curve that you go through with dating apps that might be beneficial even for interactions that you might encounter when you meet someone face to face. So I do online dating. And then I encourage them to go to singles mixers. There's a bunch of singles events, singles mixers, or not even singles mixers per se, but social events, right? Where you can make different connections. And then if they want to work on like cold approaching, either like at clubs or bars, not so much clubs. I don't really do clubs anyways. But like bars and stuff, they want more of a direct approach, then we focus on that as well.
Okay. And so do you walk them through, is the confidence piece, or I'm assuming it's tailored towards each individual? I honestly have know nothing about I've never worked with a dating coach, so you're the first one I'm talking to. I'm completely new to the whole dating coach experience. I just wonder what it's like, what the work entails.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really you're asking really cool questions. I feel like so I'm gonna separate the two. Like there's confidence and there's self-esteem. They're interchangeable, but for sake of this conversation, I'm just going to make a distinction. I think when you think of confidence, I think when you have confidence in different areas of your life, they'll kind of coalesce into what we think of like self esteem, right? So, self esteem is kind of the overarching way you kind of feel about yourself. And so, that I feel like is really hard to work on directly, right? Um,
Right,
but you can work on your communication skills, right? And be more confident communicators because that's a skill like
right.
anything else. And so I try to find different areas in their life where they can build confidence, or in the way I frame it is competence. And eventually all those things will add up, kind of raise your self-esteem, kind of like a credit score or something. So it really depends on where they're at. And so my first client that I had we worked together for the first like 6 months to a year. We didn't do anything related to dating. It was more so like, "Hey, let's, tell me about your goals for your career right now," right? And so he was trying to get
Yeah.
promotion. He was also living with a roommate at the time. I was like, "Okay, what about" he really wanted to find his own place, so I helped him find
Mhm.
a place. Another thing that was, like, a really big challenge was for him was, like, going to the gym. He had some anxiety about going to the gym
Yeah.
out, and so I would help him with that aspect of it. And I feel like once those like, you have the foundation of your life set, then it's an opportune time to, like, kinda jump into dating. But I thought that was really cool. I really liked working with guys and kinda setting that foundation first.
Right, and it's almost like a life coach. I feel like it's all intertwined, like we were saying, right? Once you feel good about yourself, you'll express yourself better and you'll be more, I'll say dateable, right? Quote unquote. At least you have to feel dateable in order to be dateable, right? Because if you don't, then you're gonna give off this energy of like not being ready, right? I don't does that make sense? I feel
No.
like the person has to feel good on the inside and be ready and feel ready. And so I've seen women say that too. They're like, "Oh no, I need to lose X amount of weight before I can date." Like, you don't need to. And they're like, "No, but I need to feel good." Then it's like, okay, well then yeah, whatever
Yes.
makes you feel like you need to do it, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, there's this element of, like, if you don't love yourself, right? I know it's kind of like a little bit cliche. If you
No,
don't
it's
love
okay.
yourself, no one else is gonna love you. But
This
it's
podcast is all on self-love, so this is perfect.
okay. No, I really truly believe that, right? Like, if you
Yeah,
don't love
yeah,
yourself, you resent yourself because of,
yeah.
yeah, where you are career-wise or how you look physically, like, yeah, of course, that's gonna manifest itself when it comes to dating.
Right. And I talk about that a lot on the podcast too, because self love is something that I had to work through because I feel like I always looked for external validation. And therefore, I was looking for people to fill a void that I wasn't filling myself. So, no, I was never content in a relationship because anytime I finally reached that point where the person would commit, you end up feeling empty inside if you don't feel whole within you, right? You're like, all right, I achieved that, but here I am again with this feeling of emptiness. So I think that your approach is awesome because you're helping people with the fundamentals to make them feel good about themselves first and foremost.
Yeah, and you know, it's tricky. It's like, sometimes those are be the things that I think are would be beneficial for them, and sometimes they don't see it that way, right? They're like,
Mhm.
"Well, you know, I wanna get better at dating, but I don't really, like, wanna go to the gym at all." And I'm like, "Okay." You know, if that listen, if those are your that's their criteria for working with me, then sure, I would still encourage it. And so
Yeah.
finding that middle ground is kinda hard to do, but I would say most of the guys are open to it, and they understand you know, I can help you with, like, the technical aspects of dating, but if and so, yeah, you maybe you go out to the bar and you're able to, like, get a chick's number or she goes home with you, and so what you're able to do to, like, get a woman is not necessarily the same thing to keep a woman, or, I mean, you can flip that
Yeah.
around for men, right? Whatever relationship you're looking for.
Right. Definitely. And this is not so much going off topic, but I just want to get your thoughts on this. I always tell people I think the key to finding love sometimes is to not necessarily even look for it. And maybe this is not the completely, but just really doing things that feel good for you. So you go to these social clubs, maybe you go to these dating events because it's fun, but you don't put that expectation. I need to meet somebody. I need to meet somebody. I really think the key here is going out and living. I think we lost that sense of that, and now where everyone wants an outcome for everything. We want like, "Okay, this is I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna meet this person, and then we're gonna hit it off or we don't, and if we don't hit it off, then it's a failure." Does that make sense at all? I don't like, that's my thing. I'm like, "What about we just go out and live and try new experiences, do things that feel good, not because you're gonna meet somebody, but because at worst, you did something fun and new, and that's a win, right? You didn't meet anybody, but you went and tried something that you've been wanting to try, and you
Yeah,
keep doing that.
yeah.
That's my thing. I think just go out and try, and people are like, "I haven't met anybody and it's been years. I've been single forever." I'm like, "Well, what have you done? Do you go anywhere new? If you go to the same gym and you go to work and you just go home, how do you expect to meet somebody?"
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, heck, yeah, there's so many things I can pull on here. I think, you know, the focus I do is like whenever you have like interests and hobbies and ambitions and passions, like you're going to radiate like this positive energy, right? And
Yeah.
then you're going to start attracting people. It's not like you have to go like chase people at that point. And so I think that's so important. But also like being realistic about your expectations. Like I remember in my 20s, you'd see like a horde of like 20 guys that go out together and they're like, I'm gonna get laid tonight, right? Most of the time they don't, right? And so you know why it's happening? They get all angry and they start fighting people, right? Like
Right.
misguided expectations. And so even when I go out with like clients of mine, I'll be like, hey, the goal of tonight is to have fun. Like we're gonna have fun regardless of what the outcome is. And I promise you, if we're carrying that like fun energy, people are gonna be drawn to us.
Yeah, exactly. That I love that. Again, it's the goal is I feel like when you set that expectation, again, it immediately puts a damper if you don't achieve that, right? You're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't meet somebody. I'm never gonna meet somebody. Look how long it's been." And then you start to spiral, and then for women, at least, I think there's this you end up wreaking desperation, even if you don't mean to, subconsciously, and I think people pick up on that. And that's where I think there's this issue where people are saying it's difficult to find love. I'm like, I think it's just that we're looking for it too hard. That's my
Yeah.
theory.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, to kind of play devil's advocate here, because I
Yeah.
completely agree with everything you just said. There is also an element of like when people say like, "Hey, when you don't look for it, it'll happen." It's like, well, no, it doesn't mean like you can just sit in your house all day and eventually
Right.
it's gonna pop up. Like you still have to chase your ambitions. You still have to search, find things that you find fulfilling, and when you kind of like fill your life with those sorts of activities, then the people are just gonna fall into 'em naturally. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, but there's still like you got to have a north star, right? And so it doesn't
Exactly.
necessarily have to be a relationship or a person, but something greater than yourself, maybe.
Right, exactly. Like you said, just I think going out and doing things is the key. You can't just stay at your home and expect somebody to knock on your door. You have to go out and do stuff. And
Yeah.
that's the hard part because it does even for me, I'm like, okay, I went out for 3 weeks, I didn't meet somebody. I don't wanna go out for a while. It's like, "Come on." You develop this, like, scarcity mindset, even myself, and you really it takes constant reframing, and I don't know if you as an individual have had to work through that as well, but you just have to it's really a mind reframe. You have to just keep because I think that it's very common for us to want to gravitate towards the negative and it's much easier to think negatively, right? To think, "Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, this is never gonna work out. Look at how many people are single. Look at how many people haven't found anybody. The dating pool sucks." It's much easier to think that than, "No, there's somebody out there for me. I just gotta keep out going out and having fun and living life and having a good time." And then eventually it comes when it's meant to come. Does it mean in a week, 2 weeks, a month, a year? We don't know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We
Yeah.
really don't know.
Yeah. And then also like you have something to talk about then when you do go out, right?
Right. When you're living yeah.
When you're like someone's like, "Hey, how's your day? What are you up to?" And you're like, "Oh my goodness, I've had such a good week. Like I went here, I did this,
Yeah.
I played pickleball, whatever that may be." And that's exciting, right? That's exciting to talk about. Um, but yeah, that's really what it boils down to is
Right.
you want to be excited about life, and then people will be excited, right?
Exactly.
To join your life, I guess.
Yeah. And then how do you, on a personal level measure success? I'd say when you work with an individual, what is something that you would deem, all right, I've achieved what I wanted to with this person?
It really just depends on like where my clients are on the spectrum of dating, right? And so I would say most of my clients have all been on like the very early stages of dating. And so sometimes I get guys who come to my meeting, they're like, "Hey, I recently got divorced. Like I've been married for 20 years. I
Well,
don't know
yeah.
where to start." And I'm like, "Yeah, I wouldn't know where to start either if I was a lot has changed in 20 years, especially in terms of dating." Um, and so realistically, sometimes I'm like, "Hey, this is probably gonna take like 2 years minimum of you like getting back into the rhythm of things. I don't think it's gonna happen overnight." Versus sometimes I'll have even friends that approach me who are like have a great career, feel good about themselves, and they just need like a few tweaks here and there, right? And usually that kind of boils down more to like the technical stuff, or even just the little nudge you need to have a little bit extra confidence to go approach somebody. Um, so it's really when wherever they are on the spectrum, they could take just another leap and just feel good about what they did, right? And so any sort of growth that we're able to like achieve is perfectly fine with me. Like that's what I'm happy for. Ultimately, like I always feel the pressure. I'm like, oh man, I'd really want to get you a girlfriend, right? But
Yeah.
it's like a therapist hoping their client or their patient is gonna make this major breakthrough and they're gonna be successful in life. So, um, yeah, I definitely feel I don't know if pressure is the right word, but I would love for all my clients to fall in love or find a girlfriend or find a boyfriend. But I'll be happy if like they've never approached a woman and like got their number and they finally do it. Even if that number doesn't turn into anything, I'll be glad with the growth they had in terms of what they were able to do in the past versus what they are able to accomplish kind of move.
Right, because that gives them the skill set and the likelihood and increases their likelihood of actually meeting somebody, right? When they have that confidence to approach someone, to ask for their number, to start a conversation,
Yeah,
whatever it is. Yeah.
yeah.
And then oh, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't know if I answered your question. So
No, you did. And then as far as I wanna go back to what you were saying, how men are saying women are doing well. What do you mean when you say their standards have changed? Are you talking from a financial standpoint, their emotional standpoint? I want it from a man's perspective, because I do hear that often too, that there's an, at least from my male friends, just an unfair expectation of the amount of money a man's supposed to make, or like, I'm thinking of one particular friend where he says that women will go and they'll be like, "Well, my ex-boyfriend was made this amount of money," or and I'm like, "Are you joking?" Sometimes I think it's because I just I can't imagine ever doing that, but also I still feel like I'm sort of new to dating because I was married for 9 years, and then I too came out and was like, "What on earth is this?" So I don't know if it's me being naive and that's really how people are, or if he exaggerates a little bit of how women are. I just wanna hear what some of your clients' experiences are.
yeah, I'll speak a little bit as a voice for not just my clients or even the guys who are at my men's meeting, but even just kind of the pulse on what I've gathered from like the internet essentially. And so I think what men will typically throw out as like this argument is this idea of hypergamy. Have you heard of hypergamy?
No, I haven't.
It's the idea that generally women date across and up financially.
Oh, okay.
Right? So they
Yeah.
either want someone who's making just as much money as them or more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I don't think that's completely true. In my experience, every time I ask a woman that question, they're like, "Dude, I just want him to have a job," right? Like,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, that's kind of again, I know like there's narrative on the internet that exists, but in real life, when I ask that question to women, they're like, I just want him to be able to like take care of himself, have a job, support himself, and that's good enough for me, right?" And so
Yeah.
but, I do think there's a little bit truth to that, whereas men and I'm not saying this is fairly judged, but there's a higher pressure probably on women on based on looks, right? But most guys aren't really concerned with what a woman does for her career, right? And so we'll date a woman who's like a cashier at McDonald's. Like
Mhm.
if you're beautiful and you have a really great personality, then it does not. Versus for men now, they have to look good, right? They have to have great personalities. They have to have really good careers, right? So it's just kind of an added layer, I think. Um, so yeah, not like my personal opinion, but based on like the consensus is that's how men are feeling these days. Um, and so yeah, now there's competition, right? Like for these jobs, right? Um, women are doing really, really well, which means they're taking a lot of good white collar jobs, which means in theory there's a few of them for guys now. Um, so yeah, there's that I think, and then there's this perception of like optionality. I think now with online dating is that women have so many more options than men do, and so we're all kind of competing sometimes for scraps is kind of how it feels.
Yeah. That's interesting because I've always felt like from my personal perspective, I like, I don't feel like I had many options on dating out, so I don't know if it's just who knows, right? I feel like it's such a like, there's no cookie cutter way to put it, and everyone's experience is so different, and maybe I just don't I can't speak, my friends had way more matches than me, I'm like, "I have no idea, I don't think I have impossible standards," so it's very interesting, I love to get a man's perspective because again, for me, I'm like they're like, "Oh, you must have people flooding your inbox." I'm like, "No, not really."
Well,
I
you know what?
don't.
Here's what I'll say. So I have a theory about this. Is what's happening is like in order to be considered in, like, the dating pool before online dating apps came out, like, you had to go out approach women, right?
Mm,
And ask for
yeah,
their phone number, right? That was the only way you were considered to be in the dating pool.
right,
But once apps came out, like, if you can download an app, you were like, "Hey, look at me. I'm in the date I'm a dater. I'm in the dating."
right.
So now women have to, like, weed through way more men who necessarily didn't, like, develop the social skills to go approach women. And so that's the
Yeah.
feedback I've received from my female friends is like, "Yeah, we have a lot of options, but dude, we have to weed out so many of them," right?
Right.
And
Yeah, like the conversation piece and stuff. They don't have like, just to ask basic questions, to
yeah,
ask questions at all. Sometimes you get people that don't even ask questions. You're like, how does this work? And I haven't been in dating apps probably for a couple months at this point, and I don't ever intend to go back. I'm not because they're bad. I think I got what I needed to out of it. But yeah, it's interesting. It's a
yeah.
different world.
I'm gonna bring up another talking point. So I collaborate with a lot of different women who run singles mixers or singles events.
Hmm.
And they always hit me up. They're like, "Hey, I'm hosting an event this week. I don't have enough guys. Can you help me like fill these seats?" Like consistently they reach out to me in order to fill these seats.
Yeah.
And so what you're finding, at least in I guess my age range, which is probably like 30s to 40s, is all these events, there's not enough guys. And they're like, "Where are these guys? Where are they? Where are they? Where are they? Where are they?" And eventually I got asked enough that I had to kinda, like, figure out where all these guys were. But yeah, I think some of it boils down to, these online dating apps are kind of killing their self-esteem and their confidence.
Hmm.
I think there's also this element that which doesn't really get addressed is like, well, women say you need to go work on yourself. So guys are like, okay, well, I'm gonna go work on myself. So I'm not gonna date anyone, and I need to like level up until I feel like, I'm a good fit or I meet the expectations of some of these women. So some of them are just checking out in terms of just like, well, I'm not gonna date unless like I feel like yeah, I could reach or match their level of income or whatever lifestyle, whatever that may be.
Yeah. And are you able to encourage men to go to these events? Are you seeing success in that realm, or
I do.
is that like
Yeah.
an yeah? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, because you have a personal connection that helps,
I
right?
do. I do have a personal
Yeah.
and so I hosted my second singles mixer 2 weeks ago, and I'm gonna be hosting my third one in August. So I'm
Awesome.
I'm kinda getting to see what it's like on the other side from there too.
Yeah, and so you're getting a good ratio of men to women then, sounds like.
I do, yeah, I get, what's interesting? All these what I've also realized is most of these singles events are all hosted by women, right?
Yeah.
So they have a good reach in drawing in women. And so when I first started hosting a singles mixer, I was like, okay, this is going to be easy to get women. It's going to be hard to get men. But because I was a man hosting a singles event, I think women were a little bit more, I don't know if suspicious is the right word, but men were much more willing to like fill up my seats, whereas I needed to kind of like partner with someone to get some women.
Right, it seems like it needs to be a collaborative event on both ends,
Yeah.
and yeah. Yeah. It's funny though because, again, on a personal level, I've also not gone to a lot of the events because it does tend to be women, well, more women, and you make awesome female friends. I've met some cool people from those things, but, yeah, generally, it's not you don't really go with the expectation that many men are going to attend for whatever
Yeah.
reason.
Another aspect of it now that I'm thinking about it is You know, I think it's more intimidating for guy when you have a singles mixer, it's more intimidating for men than it is for women, right? Because
Interesting,
the
yeah.
responsibility at these events is for men to approach and for men to put themselves out there and for men to get rejected, right? Whereas
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
which isn't that's not 100% true. I know a lot of women that approach men, ask for numbers, and more power to them. I really appreciate that. But on average, I think it's easier for women to just show up to these events versus men have to show up and they have to like put themselves out there by approaching, and that can be really intimidating.
Right. Yeah, I would say I'm generally old-fashioned where I would expect a man. I feel like that's what men were meant to do. They
Yeah,
were meant to be the ones to initiate, and then you, of course, lean in, and then from there, whatever needs to unfold, unfolds. But, yeah, it's definitely scary, I can imagine, because I wouldn't wanna go up to a man and ask for his number, it's terrifying. Yeah.
you know what? Every time I'm out and I see women approach men, I will walk up to her and like high five them, and I'll be like,
Yeah.
"Did there? That's really awesome."
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. Well, I guess I one of the things that I really wanna do even on in a micro level is just help people change their perception of dating, and how do you think we can do that? Because right now, again, I think the general consensus is that people hate dating, like, they think it's just a terrible experience. I've never heard anybody say anything positive. Somebody will always say, because I have friends that are out of town, they'll be like, "Oh, I bet you in San Diego it's much better. I bet you here it's much better." I'm like, "I never heard anybody say anything positive about where they live." And I know that, like, maybe because, San Diego generally on, like, the aesthetics, right? Where everyone not everyone, but it's like it's a big fitness community, big health. There's a lot of diversity, so I can see that. But if even in San Diego, us living here, do you hear people say anything positive about the dating pool, generally speaking?
Yeah, I mean, number 1, dating should be fun, and it can be.
Right.
Yeah, it really can be. I mean, I guarantee you there's people out there, having fun with it, maybe for some of the wrong reasons, right? But yeah,
Yeah, different topic.
yeah, different topics. Yeah, all the fuckboys out there are right now. They're
Those are the people
muddying the
that are
water.
not right. They're not yeah,
They're
that's
muddying the water for everyone else apparently. Um, but no, it should be fun. Like dating should be fun. It shouldn't be stressful. And so what I would say is I think this pendulum swing from dating fatigue and people are putting more energy into kind of in-person events is a really good thing. Um,
right.
yeah. Again, I it'd be really hard for me to give someone advice if they lived in like a really small town. Like we're blessed to live in San Diego where there are so many of these events. But I would encourage people to meet people out in in the public. Like there's this narrative among men that men can't approach women, right, in public.
Interesting, really?
Very much so. It's like you can never approach a woman in the gym, right?
What? Do you know how many gym boyfriends I have? And not like they're not like they don't know that they're my boyfriend, but I'm like my gym boyfriend from work, my gym boyfriend from here. I'm just waiting for the day he comes up and talks to me.
Yeah. And it's because, like, sometimes, again, it's a very small portion of the internet, but you have these some women who are, like, posting videos of, like, guys who are, like, looking at them, and they'll post it and, like, shame men, right?
Yeah,
Joey Swoll does a really good thing where he kind of corrects people's gym etiquette, and a lot of his videos are, like, women who are, like, kinda clickbaiting people into like, "Look at this guy looking at me, like, really creepily and stuff," and he's like, "No, he's not doing that." And so the narrative right now is you're not allowed to approach men, or excuse me, you're not allowed to approach women in public. And so part of that was like
yeah,
the Me Too movement. We're
right.
still having some residual effects from that. Um, and so when I say a lot of men say this is most of the people on the internet. uh
Yeah,
But it's okay to approach people. You can talk to anyone. You can, if you do it respectfully, right? You can talk
right.
to everyone. What happens is these guys go out and they do it, they objectify women, or they're just a little too aggressive, or they just don't know how to communicate their interests. They don't know how to flirt. And so they make things really, really awkward. And then they put women in, like, this position of, like, putting them kind of in an awkward position, right? So can you imagine if I walked
Right.
up to you and they're like, "Hey, I thought you were really cute. Do you think I get your number?" Like, even if you thought I was attractive, you'd probably be like, no, dude. Like, I don't even know you. Like, can we have a conversation first, right?"
Yeah,
And
right.
I think that's the missing piece is, like, you have to figure out, like, I talk about, like gears of a car, like, you need to start in first gear, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
sometimes I don't go past first gear. Like, I don't get the signals from them that they're interested, and so I stay in first gear. Some people, I go to second gear, some go to third gear, fourth gear. "Hey, really enjoyed talking with you. Would love to get your number, take you out sometime." Great, right? If you're getting that feedback back, that's when you kinda escalate. But what's happening is I think guys just don't have those skills right now.
Right. Yeah. And I would say, it's the internet, right? That's what's gonna kind of diluted everything? I would imagine so, because I wanna go back to that. I wish we could go back to the days where men had to approach women in public. That would be great, because that would really as a woman, I want the guy to approach me, but I don't know how to make myself approachable. I think I have, like, a warm demeanor. I wouldn't but I don't know.
You know what? I would love to teach a class on, how women can make themselves more approachable because
Oh,
yeah, I will see
yeah,
the things that women do. I've even talked to my friends out there, when we're out at, like, cocktail lounges or bars or whatever.
yeah,
I can tell they want people to approach, but it's they do it I don't think they're conscious of, like, how they're appearing or standing or sitting.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know.
Well, hey, if you teach a class, I'm gonna sign up for it because clearly I'm not doing something right.
So you don't think you're making yourself approachable?
I don't think so, right? Or I mean, I might not be. No, because I also don't want to like sit there and like creepily stare at somebody who's working out, right? There's like
Yeah.
you want to show interest but not desperation.
What about,
So
like,
how
some
do
of
you?
these if you don't mind me asking, like, what
Yeah.
about, like, these you talk about, like, you have some gym crushes or whatever. Like, what would you do? What do you do to, like, engage with them?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
So
I
let me
just
give you
mind
this
my business.
let me give you the story. I joined, like, my friends and, like, girls' night one night, so I'm the guy, I'm just kinda listening to everything, and my friend is telling a story about this really cute guy she saw at the gym. So she goes, "So I'm at the gym, and I looked at him like this, and then I walked away, and then I gave him, like, this look, gave him this look, and I gave him this look," and then my other friend was like, "Oh my god, could you have been any more clear?" And in my head, I was like, "Yes, 1,000% yes, you could have been more
Really?
clear." Yeah, how about hi? How
That's
about hi?
yeah.
Right? It's completely nonverbal, they're just trying to make eye contact and smile, like, there's so much more you can do to that if you're interested to someone.
Yeah, you know what? I probably do minimal eye contact and smile, but again, I do minimal eye contact and smile anyways. I've been told I'm a pretty smiley person, so maybe that's not it.
And you know what? I understand, that side of women too, right? Because I've even heard women say like, "Dude, I wanna be friendly," but, like, anytime I'm friendly, guys mistake it as flirty, and then I'm in this, like,
Right.
weird awkward position. So I understand that stance too, where
Right.
they're reluctant to do that because they don't wanna lead on. So it's kind of like a catch-22. It's like, "Damn, dude, I really wanna be social and be friendly," but, like, every time I do, guys misinterpret it, and they're just like, I gotta, like, turn them down or they make it awkward, and I wish I could just, like, talk to them like
Yeah. That's true too. They misconstrue friendliness, right? And immediately they're like, "Oh my gosh, she likes me. Let me just." They immediately jump the gun. So yeah, it's difficult.
yeah,
There's really no one size fits all approach, I think. But
yeah.
but yeah, I think
I
people could benefit from that though, making themselves more
yeah,
welcoming.
more approachable, I would say.
Mhm.
Again, I don't know if I'm of the I don't know if I'm the authority to, like, to coach women on how to make themselves more approachable, but I think it'd be a fun conversation, but
Yeah, yeah, I think it's good because I mean, at the end of the day, you're a man and you know what would help you want to approach a woman or feel welcome to approach a woman. So I think from that standpoint, it does help. And we as women think, again, we don't want to come off as desperate or we think we're doing enough by just looking at somebody and saying hi. But again, you're saying that a lot of men are cautious or overly cautious. So there's that too.
there is. Yeah. Yeah.
So
What
yeah.
I would say is, like, when you're out and about and you wanna get approached, you should stay casually mobile, right? And so, the minute you sit down is when you're cutting off like, most guys aren't gonna approach women that are sitting down. That's, like, a clear sign of, like, "Hey, I'm with my group, and I don't wanna interact with you." Right?
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and then also when you notice that when men approach women, it's always, like, when they're on, like, the fringes of their friend group, or it's on their way back into from the bar, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's when it kinda opens up a little bit. But the hardest is when women, like, group together with their friends. Like,
Right.
yeah, I kinda joke, it's like, National Geographic, like, when all the elephants are, like, guarding the baby. And then it's like, we're just trying to figure out, like, how to get into this, like,
Yeah.
armor. So when you kinda, like, open up even, like, the way you guys stand together where it's a little bit more inviting, I think it's more guys would approach if those were the signals. But also, I understand, like, sometimes there's creepy guys out there, and so
Right.
you do have to huddle up to, like, shoo
Yeah.
these guys who are being inappropriate, way too aggressive, and so I see both sides of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to ask you one final question. It's kind of a broad question, but just your thoughts. What would you tell somebody, a man particularly, who is struggling to find love and just is over? Because I've talked to a lot of men that are like that, where they're just like, I'm just done dating. Women are unrealistic. I don't want anything to do with it. So what would be your words to somebody who's struggling?
Boy, that's a good one. Um, going back to your philosophy, I think like once you find things that like fill your own cup, right? Like you want to find someone that's going to complement your life, not like supplement it, right? And so I think you and I talked about like you don't want to you don't want to have to find someone to fill the void in you, right?
Right,
Oh, if you need to take a break from dating, I think that's a good thing. There is what is that art of war? Like there's value in retreat, right? Kind of
right.
recenter yourself, find things that make you happy internally. Or maybe that's finding a community, finding a bigger social circle, finding a new hobby, whatever that fills your cup. And then when you start dating, being a little bit more discerning, right? And
Mm-hmm.
be more cautious about who you bring into your life because you don't want to disrupt like this good foundation that you've set up. Um, so yeah, and if I'm being honest, I just don't have a good answer to that question.
No, that's a great answer. Honestly, it ties into everything that I talk about in previous episodes. So it's beautiful. That's a lot of what I say is really just setting the foundation with yourself first and foremost. So essentially, you're saying that in different words, and I love that.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. I will link Moon's Instagram handle in the show notes, and thank you all so much for listening. I'll see you guys next week.